Ladies and gentlemen, the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer beta is live, and I decided I would do a video going over my first impressions. We'll talk about all the things I like about the game so far, and all the things I don't like, or at least a certain amount of things. I'm not going to literally list every single little thing I like and dislike, but we'll talk about the general things that kind of stood out to me within my first 4 hours of playing this game. That's right, I played 4 hours on stream. If you want to see my first games, check that stream out, because it was really fun. First of all, starting off with the positives, one of the biggest things I can definitely talk about is the time to kill, which I personally think is the most important thing to a Call of Duty experience. If you have a really fast time to kill, I'm probably not going to like the game that much. If you have a really slow time to kill, I'm going to like it a lot more. And when I say slow, I mean slow for Call of Duty standards. Obviously, it's not that slow if you compare it to stuff like Halo or Apex Legends, but it's still pretty slow for Call of Duty. In this game specifically, it feels very much similar to a game like COD World War II or Black Ops 3, which was not the slowest time to kills we ever had, but definitely close to it. It's definitely not as slow as like Cold War and Black Ops 4, so if you're wondering how it feels, it's not that slow. But there is a piece of equipment right now called Battle Rage that is kind of messing up how the time to kill feels and is actually making it feel kind of inconsistent, but I do think that'll be nerfed soon, so I don't think this is going to be a huge issue going forward. I think the time to kill itself, how it is by default, is really great and actually makes for some really fun gunfights. There's many moments I had in the stream I played today where I was in a gunfight and I was shooting at somebody and they were shooting back, and we had this back and forth that went on for a couple seconds. It didn't just end right away with the first person shooting and then killing the other person, or I got shot in behind and then I turned around and fought back, or someone was camping in a room, shot at me first, but then I was still able to turn on them and kill them. Just tons of great moments when you have a slower time to kill. It really makes the game that much better. The movement is amazing. I'm very happy they decided to actually make the movement a lot faster, specifically with certain things like mantling, which is just insanely fast, how fast you can mantle and pull your gun right back up. The ADS speeds are faster, sprint and tactical sprint speeds are pretty good too, and sliding is not that great right now. It's kind of like, it's weird. So when you slide cancel, there's a bit of a delay between like being able to ADS right after slide canceling, which doesn't really feel the same as it does in like Vanguard and Modern Warfare 2019, but you can utilize certain other, movement abilities like jumping and crouching after you do that, and it actually does help quite a bit. I think the best way to do it right now is to slide and then jump. Crouching is really good when you go into prone. You can go really fast into prone, you can go up really fast. Like, everything in terms of movement is great. Definitely feels like one of the faster CODs in terms of movement, which is a great thing because it just increases the skill gap, makes the game faster paced, and just makes it more fun. Another great thing is the attachments. Now, I'm not a huge fan of Gunsmith. I've liked the ability to have a bunch of different attachments. I think that's cool. There's so many options, but I always hated some of the recent Gunsmith systems because a lot of the attachments just don't seem that useful, and you end up using the same 5 attachments a whole year anyways, so it just kind of feels like a normal attachment system regardless. But as for the attachments in this game, most of them actually seem really useful. I've been trying out a couple different ones on some of the guns, and they're actually really good. I'm actually really impressed with some of them. None of them really destroy the gun like they do in Modern Warfare 2, so I'm very happy with that. And to add on to the overall class system, although I would prefer Pick-10 Gunsmith Hybrid going forward, this game does have a new thing called vests, which essentially are wildcards in a weird way. It's not exactly like wildcards from Cold War or, prior games with Pick-10 systems, but they kind of work where you put the vest on and it will give you a perk ability, so it's kind of like a perk in a way, but then it also gives you an extra thing. And just as an example, one of the ones I've been using, the Engineer Vest, which I absolutely love the Engineer Vest, what it does is it lets you get an extra piece of gear, which is one of the perks, so it lets you take an extra perk, and in return, you have to sacrifice your lethals. So you can't use grenades, you can't use, Semtexes, any of those, but you get a second perk, well, fourth perk on top of the 3 ones you already have. That's awesome. That is not exactly like Pick-10. Obviously, there's a lot more intricacies to Pick-10, but this is definitely better than nothing and at least gives players some choice here. There's a vest that is essentially overkill, like it's the perk overkill from prior games, but turned into a vest. And so if you want 2 primary guns, you're going to have to sacrifice something. You can't just throw 2 primary guns on and be fine. No, you have to sacrifice one of your perks. So you're only going to have 2 perks instead of 3. That's really cool. There's literally a whole perk tier that gets shut off when you use this. And like I said, this is just a cool thing that just allows you to just do more with your class. And right now there's only 4 vests. I hope they have a lot of vests later on. Like, I want to see a vest that lets you get maybe like a 6th or 7th attachment on your primary. Maybe in return, you have to lose your secondary, something like that. Like, I would definitely be down for that. Maybe even, hell, go up to 8 attachments or something. Maybe there can be one that gives you like 2 more perks, but you have to give up like a secondary and your equipment, because hell, I would run that. You get a primary plus 5 perks. definitely would run that. So I really hope they just add a bunch of vests to just kind of make the customization a lot bigger, and so it actually feels more like Pick 10 rather than just being a system we've had the past couple years. So thank you, Sledgehammer, for adding this. I think this is a great change. Another thing I gotta mention is the maps. Now, I've said it many times, the Modern Warfare 2 maps I'm not that crazy about. There's a couple maps in the game I think are pretty good, but I've never been that crazy about them. And so when I heard they were returning this game, I was like, you know what? Like I'm not that excited for it. But I will say, these maps play a lot better in this game with the movement and the time to kill. Like, Estate is not really a map that I liked that much back in the OG Modern Warfare 2, but I really like it here. Like, it's actually a fun map. Favela's just as good as it was in the OG game, and Skid Row I was always kind of just indifferent on, but I'm actually really liking it in this game. So far, 3 of the maps in the game are all really fun to play, so that is a huge positive. This next thing I'm kind of surprised about because I've been hearing people complaining about this on Twitter, and maybe it just has to do with like my monitor compared to other people's monitors. I have no idea, but I think the visibility is really good. I've been seeing a lot of people saying it's not, but I'm really able to pinpoint people from a distance pretty decently. There's not a lot of visual recoil on the guns either, so while you're shooting, you can stay on target pretty well. I haven't really had a problem with that, so it's going to get even better when the full game comes out and we have all these colorful skins and such that everyone's using. So it's going to turn into this, game that's just, you're going to be seeing people just fine. I don't think it's going to be a problem later on. So I'm really enjoying how it looks, and the hit marker sounds, oh my god, it sounds so good. It is so satisfying to kill people in this game because of how good the hit markers sound. They're really just punchy. When you get headshots, especially getting a headshot with a sniper is the most orgasmic thing I think I've seen in Call of Duty in a long time. The guns are really great too. Like, I'm really enjoying a couple of the guns. There's basically an ACR, there's a UMP, there's a Scorpion. They're not called those, but they're really fun to use. I think the gun balance so far has been pretty decent. I haven't felt like any guns like too good or any of them are that bad. They're just kind of all in the middle. So far, of course, I haven't used all the attachments, so I don't know if I can turn one of them into like a OP, masterpiece of a gun, but so far, I think it's been pretty balanced. Now let's get into the negatives. Some of these things are minor things. It's not like a huge deal or anything, but I still want to mention everything that I have on this list. So first of all, I quickly mentioned them before when I was talking about the time to kill and the movement. The slide cancel delay probably should be fixed. I want it to be a little bit quicker. Let me ADS faster after sliding. And also the battle rage like stim thing that they have in the game that makes you heal. They need to do something about that because currently as it is, it's a bit OP. You can really heal just way too fast and it really turns you into a juggernaut pretty much. And I love stims. I want to keep those in the game, but they should have that as a separate thing. Like, we should just have normal stims like we had. Like, make them like Cold War where they recharge over time, but they're just normal stims. They don't make you this OP monster like Battle Rage does. And so they should definitely change something up with that because there's been a lot of time to kill inconsistencies where you don't even realize that someone has battle rage, but they do. So then you're like, okay, why did that guy take like 10 shots to kill? And you're like, oh, because he had battle rage. And you don't realize that until afterwards, or maybe you don't realize it at all. So that's something they definitely need to change. Just add a normal stim because I don't like battle rage either. It does this really weird effect on your screen when you use it. It's just kind of weird. Just give me a normal stim just like we had them in the prior Call of Duty games and I'll be happy. No deaths on the scoreboard again, which I'm just so baffled that they keep doing this because Cold War had deaths on the scoreboard, so did Black Ops 4, but for some reason, Modern Warfare 2019, Vanguard, Modern Warfare 2, and now Modern Warfare 3, they don't put deaths on the scoreboard. Now, when I say this, I mean during the match. Obviously, when you end the match, when it's over, it shows you the deaths that you had in the match, and this is not for every mode. Some of the modes do show deaths, but a lot of the modes do not. I'm tired of that shit. Like, I want to see my deaths on the scoreboard. I want to see my KD ratio during the game. I want to see how I'm doing. And I know they probably do it because they want to try to encourage people to play the objective more. But I mean, you have score streaks in the game. Like, just have the score streaks there. And I don't need something else to encourage me to hop on the objective. I'm going to do it anyways. So not putting deaths is just, I don't understand it. If you want to give people the option to not show their deaths, that's fine, but let me see them. I want to see my deaths. You don't even have to show me the enemy's death. I don't need to see how everyone else is doing. I don't care. I want to know how I'm doing. Let me see my KD ratio during the game, please. Another pretty big thing for me, at least in the beta, and this is something I'm fully expecting to get changed for the full game, and this is the teammate name tags. The teammate name tags are way too tiny and way too hard to see. The problem with this is that when you come across a teammate, a lot of the time I've mistaken them for an enemy. This happened so many times in this beta so far, where I run into a teammate and I start shooting at them, and I'm like, oh shit, that's not an enemy. And people did it to me too. People just started shooting at me out of nowhere, and I'm like, okay, you're my teammate. What are you doing? But that's what they're doing. They think I'm an enemy because the teammate name tags are not very easy to see. The visibility is good in general, but not those name tags. They need to be thicker, bolder, bigger, and hopefully that won't be a problem going forward. There's also this weird UI thing going on with you can like toggle the tag stance, and it always pops up on your screen every time you ADS. It just puts that text right in the middle of the screen to let you know how to toggle your tag stance. And I feel like it's just a weird thing because I get it, like you need to teach us how to do it because it's a new feature, but like, I don't want to see that every time I ADS. It's kind of annoying. You know what I mean? It'd be like if in the old CODs, they like showed you like, oh, press RT to shoot every time you ADS. Like, I don't need to know that. Once I learn how to do it, I don't need to see that anymore. So hopefully there's an option to turn it off. Maybe there is, and I just didn't look enough in the settings. But I just don't like that. That's such a small thing, but it's definitely something to point out. The spawns are kind of a problem right now. They're not that great. We don't have as bad of spawns of like Modern Warfare 2019 and Modern Warfare 2, but they're definitely not perfect. There's been a lot of issues with them, and that's the beta. We always have spawn issues in the beta. I'm not too surprised by that. Something that's been the case for the past few Call of Duties, I'm going to keep talking about it every single time a new COD comes out because I need it to be fixed. I hate this thing, and this is the fact that streaks don't loop during the same life. And what I mean by that is you can't earn them again in the same life. So if you earn all 3 of your streaks and you stay alive, you don't start earning them again. Back in, like, let's say Black Ops 2, if you earn your UAV, and then you earn your counter UAV, and then you earn your VSAT, directly after earning the VSAT, you start earning the UAV again. Like, it just resets. That should be the case in this game, regardless of if you're using kill streaks or score streaks. That should be the case. There's absolutely no reason to let us not do that. All it does is just make me not want to stay alive longer, which that we shouldn't be demotivated to stay alive longer. So usually when I get my last kill, unless I'm going to go for a nuke, I have no reason to stay alive after that. You know what I mean? So it's really just a weird thing. I'm not crazy about it. Another thing I thought I should mention, I didn't mention it last year because I was just so happy to have score streaks as an available thing with the whole, kill streak, score streak toggle thing. But now this year, I'm thinking to myself, what's even the point of having kill streaks in the game? Because Exclusive A's actually did tests on this back during Modern Warfare 2's life cycle, where there's no single situation in any mode in the entire game where kill streaks are going to be more useful than score streaks. Score streaks are always going to put you at an advantage no matter what, even in TDM and free-for-all. If you don't know why that is, just go watch this video. He explains it very well. Just trust me. There's no reason to use kill streaks. And the problem is, kill streaks are on by default. So a lot of players don't even know about the toggle feature, so they don't even bother to toggle to score streaks, and they just put themselves at a disadvantage. Not only they're putting themselves at a disadvantage, but they're also putting themselves with a system that's not going to encourage them to play the objective. So especially casuals are not going to play the objective. They should just take away kill streaks, throw in score streaks as the default, and just leave it at that. Or at the very least, just have the option to toggle it to kill streaks, but make score streaks the default. So all the casuals who don't know about the toggle feature could at least just, leave it there. Because there's a lot of people who don't know about it. Trust me, I talked to some of my friends who are more casual. They didn't even know you can toggle it to score streaks. So they should change that for this game. Unfortunately, they didn't, but that's definitely something they should do. I also really want like a kill streak counter because during this game, I kept thinking to myself, like, what streak am I on? Like, I didn't really know what streak I was on. And Cold War had this. I believe Modern Warfare 2018 and Vanguard did as well, but not as like obvious. But like it told you what kill streak you're on after every single kill. Like it told you right on the screen, you're on 1 kill streak, 2 kill streak, 3 kill streak. I want to know that. I want to know that because if I'm going for a nuke, I want to know how close I am. I don't want to keep guessing to myself. So they should really add that. That would be really cool. Something that's kind of like beating a dead horse at this point, but I'm going to mention anyways. I really don't like how similar to Modern Warfare 2 this looks. And obviously I know it's because it's like attached to it essentially. Like they just want it to be very similar, but the HUD looks the same. The UI looks very similar. It's too much, The game plays very different, so don't get me wrong. It plays so different than Modern Warfare 2, but I wish they tried to set itself apart from that game a bit more than just the gameplay mechanics. I wish it looked a bit different instead of looking very similar, but it's not the biggest thing in the world. It's just something I thought I should mention. And lastly, the hardpoint's respawn delay is really annoying. It's that same thing where they like zoom out in the map and then zoom back in for, hardpoint. It's not in the other modes, I think. At least I haven't noticed it in other modes, which is good, but it just shouldn't be there in hardpoint whatsoever. There's no reason for it. Let's get that shit out of there. I don't want that to ever come back in a Call of Duty ever again because it's just not a fun thing to deal with. I know it's like a 2-second delay, but it's enough to just not make me, I don't like it. Get rid of it, please. So there it is. Those are all my first impressions of this game. Let me know your guys' thoughts of the beta if you've played it down in the comments, and if you haven't played it, do these first impressions make you more excited or less excited for the game? So far, I'm loving this. I really think it's a solid multiplayer game, and I'm really looking forward to the future of it because there's a lot of good stuff that could be coming down the pipeline for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. I will see you guys on my next one. Peace out.